soft blue haze in a waking sky. Dogwood blooms in the redbud's flame, calling everything back by name. River runs like it always knew how to carry the night on through. Cool, damp air and the smell of pine. Lord, it feels like the world's just fine. It's an Appalachian spring again. Life comes rolling back in the wind. From the holler to the mountaintop, you can feel that the cold has stopped. Hear the birds and the whippoorwills sing. Every heart gets a second wind in the light of a brand new day. Appalachian spring finds a way. Boots on dirt down an old trail bend, where the creek and the wildflowers blend. Trillium white in the morning shade, quiet beauty the good Lord made. The sun comes slow through the tulip trees, dancing gold in the mountain breeze. Every step feels like home to me in these hills where my soul runs free. It's an Appalachian spring again. Life comes rolling back in the wind. From the holler to the mountaintop, you can feel that the cold has stopped. Oh, hear the birds and the whippoorwills sing. Every heart gets a second wind in the light of a brand new day. Appalachian spring finds a way. Fiddle cry and the banjo roll, that mountain sound down in your soul. Old front porch and a coffee cup, watching all of the world wake up. Simple things that we understand. Ain't no riches like this land. Time moves slow, but it don't stand still, like the fog on a distant hill. Every season's a gift we bring, but there's nothing like Appalachian spring. It's an Appalachian spring again. Life comes rolling back in the wind. From the holler to the mountaintop, you can feel that the cold has stopped.
All right.
Oh, hear the birds and the whippoorwills sing.
Crank that back. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. Put a little background in there just so to fill up the dead space I may have in my presentation. Hope everybody's doing well. All right. Good evening, friends and neighbors. Welcome to the Rabun County Rag. It is, golly, we about to run out of April, be into May. Woo! I'll tell you something I learned again this week. Not for the first time, but maybe a little clearer than before. I spent most of the last week and part of this week out working in the landscape, cleaning up, planting, getting the garden in, fixing, trying to stay ahead of the rain that came through, and I did. Got it all in before the rain hit. I'll be honest with you. Not every day did I feel like doing it. I mean, every day last week, Monday through Friday, 5 or 6 hours out in the landscape working or in the garden getting it ready. Several beds going in, uh, flower beds, vegetable beds, and now the grass needs cutting. But anyway, some mornings the motivation just wasn't there. I was maintaining my regular schedule, video scripting, video recording, video editing. I didn't go for my walks because I don't know if I'd have been able to have enough energy to get everything done around here. But other than the morning walks, I did maintain my regular schedule. Yeah. Man, but the work still needed to be done because if you want a garden, if you want those homegrown vegetables, and if you want something beautiful around your home, you don't get there by waiting on motivation. And I guess I could hire somebody to do it, a gardener, but that would defeat the purpose of self satisfaction, the self discipline, the imagination, and all those things that are involved with doing your work and reaping the rewards. And I kept thinking about something we talked over on Nothing New that'll be coming out this week, that discipline is louder than motivation. You know, motivation, it does the talking. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. But the discipline, that's what shows up. I could have talked about all the big plans, and I talked a little bit about what I had plans for, and I still got some plans for the old landscape in the garden, but I knew I couldn't talk about it forever. I had to get out there and do it. But anyway, before we go any further, let's remember why we gather. We're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We come here to exchange ideas, resources, and information. And tonight, everything we talk about, from the woods to the water to the garden, come back to that idea. Oh man, those old sinuses still bother me. If your sinuses is giving you trouble through this, or it might be just recovery, not this past Thursday, but Thursday before, I got some kind of head cold or something or another, and I battled that all last week. Oh Lord, working in the garden, and I'm sure the heavy pollen count with all the dry air didn't help much. But Uh, I think I'm going to live. You just hear me sniffling all the time on the old microphone here. But anyway, I am glad you're here. Go ahead and start sending the chats, and let's start some conversations other than what I bring up, or adding to what I'm bringing up, or correct or amplify that which I'm bringing up. I would appreciate your input. It means the world to me. It means that the channel is growing, and that we're becoming a community of people who come together on Thursday evenings and have a chat about. Chew the rag, so to say. That's what the rag in the where is that? It's right there, Raven County rag. Chewing the rag. We get together and we chew the rag and we talk about things that are important to us. If it's not in the mission statement, it's still important to you, then it's probably important to the rest of the community. We can talk politics, we can talk religion. I don't care, but just keep in mind, as long as I'm moderate, I'm not going to allow any ugly comments. We can talk about poor performance and all that without naming names and how we'd like to see things change, and that's okay. We can do that. Anyway, we're moving along. Let's talk about hunting, fishing, and trapping. And here's another one of those situations where showing up matters. Turkey season is rolling right along. I think it runs the wind to the middle of May. Anyway, and if you've been out there, you already know some mornings are quiet and some mornings feel like nothing's happening. Uh, but the folks are finding success. Look, if you're out there working and you're not getting any responses from your calls or you're not hearing anything out there, take a deep breath of that luscious morning air that we're having now and be grateful for the opportunity just to sit there and be communing with nature, so to say. But the ones who are having success, they're the ones who keep showing up. You know, as far as turkeys are going, goblins are still active at daylight. Hens beginning to nest more consistently. Mid morning's getting a little better. And the tactics right now, man, it's the same as always. You got to stay patient. Don't leave too early now, unless you got to go to work. Then you better get up and go to work. Call less and listen more. Hunt the same birds consistently. Discipline, what discipline looks like in the woods. Getting up when you don't feel like it. Getting out there, getting that cup of coffee. Sitting longer than you want to. And trusting the process. Same lessons as I've been learning in the garden. You know, I'll get up early in the morning and go out there and it's just right at daybreak, and I'll get out there and there's deer in the tree line there, and and the dove. I'll sit down mid morning or so and relax, and the old dove who normally are so skittish, and I'm just sitting there under the porch. Got a little chair under there and a concrete block. I keep a bottle of water, and I'll be sitting there real quiet like. And let me change something I got going on here. Edit. Nope. There we go. I just got a little music. I've been working with the mandolin and the guitar and some software called Suno, where I'll put in some riffs and play around with it with this Suno, and it's been creating some sounds for me. The intro song you heard is called Appalachian Morning, and I've created that and wrote some lyrics out and ran them through a processor and streamlined them a little bit and put it all together. But this is an instrumental, about, I guess, 7 minutes or so, and it's mostly with mandolin and guitar, and it's got a little percussion in it. Anyway, back to the dove. I'll sit under that. I'll sit under the deck out there and take a break and drink a little water, and them dove will light. They'll land because I keep under the bird feeder. You know, they're always slinging other seeds out, and some of it sprouts, and you know, there's a debate going on in the household. I'll leave it so that those dove have cover while they're out there trying to feed on that seed that other birds are kicking off. And plus, when that those seed heads ripen on that stuff that sprouts, it'll give them additional feed. Um, you know, last summer we probably had about 12 pair of doves off the back porch here, and looks like we're building up to have a good little flock out there this morning, along with all the other ones. Got a little old immature uh, uh, pileated woodpecker out there, had been getting in the seed. I guess he had a rough winter trying to figure out how to feed himself. They normally out there pecking on the tree. We got his one of his parents out there. That's a big oak devil, bigger than a crow, man. And he'll get out there. We had an old oak tree blow over in these past windstorms out in the woods, and you can hear him out there banging his head off trying to get into the insects that are in that tree. And it's just a part of living where we live in Appalachia with the birds and the deer and all the, I hadn't seen my turkeys. Now I've seen my old bunny rabbits, but, hadn't seen them turkeys. Of course, I hadn't called them in a while. I guess I could get out there and try and do that. I hadn't done it. But anyway, seasons in the garden, getting out there, getting the hands dirty. Boy, I guess I talked about it last week, how many tomato plants I put out there. Send me a chat. Let me know what you got going on in your landscape this year. And of course, the other battle that's going on, I have a little patch of grass. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 50 by 50 times 2 on either side of the entrance to the front of the house out there. And another discussion. I like the wildflowers that come up. I call it a meadow. And my wife calls it a lawn and calls it unruly because I leave it with the dandelions and the vetch and the clover out there in bloom. And I know I'm trying to feed the bees and get a good crop of grasshoppers and crickets for the grand boy to catch. And so I'm slow about cutting it down. I kind of wait till after all the spring blooms have faded, and then I'll go to cutting it. And I don't cut. I like to keep it 4 inches high or higher through most of the year. If I'm buffering, I apologize. I am on the Starlink, which is the best thing I got going where I'm at. So I see that it's in the yellow, so forgive the buffering. But anyway, let's go on with some of the season out there for the seasonal snapshot. General trapping season is closed now. So now predator control is ongoing. If you've got, things disrupting, you got coyotes chasing your livestock or something like that, then you're getting run over by, I guess, raccoons or possums. You could take some of them out, but that type of predator control is ongoing, and the fishing is really starting to heat up. So everything rewards consistency. So make sure you're getting out there and staying with it. And I know we all got to work. Hell, I ain't got to work, and I ain't been fishing at all this spring. I got back from Texas and had to go to work here around the place, and man, but I need to get on that. I've gotten as far as putting fishing tackle in the truck, riding around with it, but I ain't changed out the fishing line or nothing yet. I tell you what. But I think about it quite a bit. I enjoy the sport of fishing. I enjoy thinking about it, and I enjoy the scenery of the places where you catch the fish. But fishing this time of year is the same story. The ones catching the fish consistently aren't always the ones with the best gear. A story related to that. My son was growing up, and he started fishing at a very early age with me. Probably just when he started learning how to walk, I had him casting and walking and being in nature with me. And he ended up being quite a fisherman at a young age. And I've probably told this story once before, but he was a little old Cub Scout, and they would get badges, and I volunteered to give a lesson or a class or whatever it was, being somewhat of a leader. And I admit I was a working fool back then, trying to keep them in food, clothing, shelter, and Boy Scouts and dance and everything else. But yeah, he was quite the fisherman. We had a little Cub Scout outing one time. And like I said, I was honored with trying to teach them young boys how to fish. And we went through the lesson plan. 5 and 6 years olds ain't much lesson planning in that. It's more like herding cats with a bunch of 5 and 6 years olds. But then we got to the lake, and Garth had his little low fishing pole out there, and he'd tie a piece of worm or a half a cricket on there, and he was catching them. And them other little boys, they hadn't had much exposure to the fishing stuff yet. And so he was out there catching, having a good time. And of course, one little boy says, his rod is better than mine. Oh, God. Oh, my old son, he handed him his fishing pole, says, here, fish. And he went out there, and he was walking around the edge of the lake and grabbed a piece of fishing line that was laying there on the shoreline and reeled it in. And there's a little number, I don't know what size it was, 12, 16, 14 size hook on there, straight shank, with a little bit of lead on it. And he rolled it up, digging around there on the shore, and found whatever it was he put on that hook, and he went to catching just with a hand line. And I used to tell guys I'd go fishing quite a bit. Had plenty of business meetings on the Chattahoochee River, North Atlanta there. And I would take guys with me, and they were amazed that that I could catch fish, and they weren't. And I told them, I said, hey, look, it's a numbers game. It's all about the number of casts you make out there. Because when you're making a lot of casts, you're learning conditions, you're learning the weather, you're learning feeding lanes, you're learning all that stuff just by doing it. And so the ones catching the fish consistently aren't always the ones with the best gear. And I can fly fish, and I can spin cast, and I can open face spin cast, and I can bait cast, and I can do all that stuff. And that's the least of my worries. I can tie a few flies. I got some right here. They ain't been off of this thing in a while, but I can tie flies. I made my own rods. I ain't made my own reel, but I don't need a reel necessarily, but I've done all that stuff. And it's the love of the sport that convinces you to do that kind of stuff. But anyway, I always told them guys that I took fishing with me and they didn't have much success. I would tell them that it's a numbers game. You've got to make the cast. You've got to be on the water. And so consistency is a true statement when it comes to being successful. Whether you're catching fish, you're turkey hunting, deer hunting, making money, working, any of that, you got to be consistent with what you're doing. They're the ones, out there watching conditions, adjusting tactics. I was fishing one time, and it was November, and it was a unpleasant day. It was raining, and it was cold. I'd fished Georgia nymphs and red wigglers and every nymph I had in the darn box, and even tried a few dry flies, and just wasn't happening. And it quit raining, and I was throwing the red wigglers. And boy, them fish turned on. And I caught 8 or 10 in just a very short order, less than an hour after fishing all morning. And I figured it out. That rain caused runoff that was running into the stream. Well, that runoff carried with it worms and insects and everything else that lived in the forest floor, and them worms was washing into the river, and the fish was keying on them things, and I happened to just be throwing them red wigglers. So now, like it rained this morning, if I'd have gone fishing, I'd have made sure to have something that resembled a worm, a San Juan fly, or I'd have stopped by the store and got me a box of red wigglers, or went out there in the garden and dug them out. I just threw my last batch out that I'd taken care of over the winter in a coffee can. When I was planting the garden, I went out there and turned them loose to let them to get working in the garden to improve that garden health. But anyway, that's watching conditions and adjusting tactics and staying after it. That's the main thing. Staying after it, you'll learn it. Anyway, send me a chat and let me know what your techniques are, how you master the fishing. Or if you're like me, you know what to do, you just ain't getting enough cast in there. But what's going on out there? The trout are still strong. They've got a pretty regular stocking schedule up on Moccasin Creek, Tallulah River, Wildcat Creek, and I'm sure a multitude of others at the state park down there at Moccasin Creek. They've got I can fish that next year because I think it's 65 and older. It might be 62 and older. I need to go down there and look. Go down there and catch some of them trout right there at the hatchery. But my little daughter did that one time. She fished and she just wasn't into it. And she went down there to the hatchery one time. She wasn't but maybe 5. And boy, she hooked one. I couldn't drag her off that river. She didn't want to leave, man. She's ready to fish. Then got that first one. Yeah, I saw some bass at the Tallulah impoundment there at Tallulah Falls the other day. They were hanging around in cover, and I guess they was pecking at whatever was moving around in there. But they were moving up into the shallows. I did notice that. And the old bluegill, they forming their old nest out there, and you can smell that old musty smell and see that old guard fish there keeping control, make sure nothing gets in there after them fry. But anyway, it's moving along. The bite's getting better and better, and I'm sure it'll improve as the weather gets warmer. Like O'Neill Outdoors used to say, if he says you too busy to fish, you too daggum busy. So get out there and fish. Get out there and have some fun with yourself and them children. Try and get out there at the warming. I always find that the warming part of the day, say from 9 or 10 till noon or so, and then in the afternoons always work best for me. But tell me, send me a chat and let me know what works good for you. Anyway, also target the transition areas. These old lakes up here are pretty clear. You can see where the transition is from the deeper water where it comes into the shallows. Fish around structures and things like that. But wow. Anyway, target the transitions, adjust to conditions, not assumptions. You don't luck into good fishing regularly, you build it. Here's that word again, discipline. Discipline. All right, boy, I tell you what, we always got to talk about safety. Me being a safety guy in the world, think that's pretty important, whether we're working around the house or out in nature, enjoying it on the river fishing. But let me tie this back to something real. When you've been working hard all week, when your body is tired, that's when mistakes show up. So when you're dealing with firearms, stay alert, stay sharp. Don't rush on the water. I've seen so many guys miss their footing coming from the dock to the boat. Skin shins, twist ankles, get wet. And got to be careful. Don't get, and it's always because they in a rush, ready to get fishing. They got up late. And then they have to wait to get the boat in the water, and then they in a hurry to get somewhere. So just watch your footing, your tools, and be aware of fatigue. And that cold water's still dangerous. Now, I dipped my hand in the water the other day, and it was still mighty cool. You get out there and you fall in that 50, 55 degree water, it will sap the energy and proper thought processes right out of your body. So, just remember, discipline isn't just doing the work, it's staying focused while you're doing it. All right. And the weather. Boy, I tell you what, we've had some mighty fine rain, I think, over the weekend. And part of this week, I think we've gained about an inch of rain here in the homestead, and it's nice to have it. I'm sure glad, boy, I got some daggum old squash out there. I guarantee you they put out vines that's reaching 3 or 4 feet now. One of them had a fruit on it. I tell you, I didn't, but it seems to be doing good. It looks like I lost a couple tomato plants, but that's probably my fault. I abuse them every year, and you know, if I lose 4 or 5 out of 50, I figure I'm doing all right, and I'll just put something else in that place where they didn't make it, you know. I'd like to get, I went in there this morning and sorted some seeds out. I've got a few stalks of corn, but I think I'd like to have a few more stalks of corn and maybe a row of okra. I'm probably the only one in the house that'll eat okra, and I'll eat it straight out of the darn garden, man. I like the taste of okra. But anyway, the weather, it's been cooperating, but it's been testing us too. Now, since that rain moved in, it's gotten considerably cooler, but it doesn't seem to be affecting. I don't think we're going to have any more chance of any kind of frost. And I think we got down to 42, and I kind of thought about them plants, but I got up early the next morning and they looked all right. I didn't care enough to do nothing about it because I was wore out. But rain chances, let me see what the rain is. We had a little bit of rain this morning, and I thought when I looked at the rain the other day, there's going to be some more throughout the week. Let me look. I got the old phone right here. Yeah, it looks like we got a little more on Saturday, and then we'll be in the 60s and 70s. We're going to be in the slow growth. But, you know, this colder weather sure makes them plants put in a stronger root system, so that's good. We'll be in the mid to low 70s for the rest of this week, well into next week. Wow. Man, for the next week, it's going to be kind of cool. That's going to be nice. I need to get to fishing in, don't I? Anyway, looks like we're ready to, so you got time to still get out there and get that garden going before the hot weather gets in. Let them get a good set, get the roots set, and make sure you mulch your garden. I did do quite a bit of mulching. I've got wood chips for paths, and then I mulch. I leave a, you know, pretty good area around the plant. I don't want any moisture being real close to the roots, but I mulched the paths with wood chips, and then some mulch hay. accordingly. And the garden wasn't too packed. Now, I told you I've been doing no-till. And boy, I hope it works out better than it did last year. But last year it seems like nobody had real good success with their garden. I mean, I had fresh vegetables, but it wasn't as bountiful as it had been in the past. And they're talking about having a relatively dry year. That's why I was real urgent and insistent on the mulching process. So anyway, please send me a chat and let me know what's going on in your garden. I really do want to know. I'm real interested in how other gardeners are doing. Anyway, moving along. It is 6:30. We've been going at this for a half hour. Good to have everybody here. If you catch this on the rebroadcast or the recording, make sure you go ahead and leave a comment. I think I've got them turned on where you can leave a comment. Oh, got to catch the breath. I hadn't done much today. I got up early and came down. Well, I did. I spent about 4 hours on the video desk this morning doing editing. You get to, I'm doing these classes on subpart M in the OSHA standard, which is duty to have fall protection. And it talks about the various types of fall protection systems. And now this week I'm covering ladders and the fall hazards associated with ladders. And, it required me to create quite a few slides, little pop-ups, and I put them over here on this side, and they'll pop up and give the details about what I'm talking about. And I think I had about 8 or 10 of those I had to put in this last video. So yeah, it took quite a bit, but I enjoy doing it. Keeps me vital, keeps me focused on what my career endeavor is, so that I don't get stale. I don't want to get stale by any means. Uh-oh. Hey, y'all. I got a hello? Hello? I thought I was getting a phone call. But I don't guess I am. Let me turn that on. All right. Hello? Are you there? Hello? They hung up on me, it looks like. Oh, well. No, they're still there. Hello? I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I can't tell. Nope, that's the guitar. Hello? Oh, well. I don't know. I have to figure this thing out. I can't. Bluetooth. I don't get it. Well, anyway. There we go. Anyway, so the weather's been cooperating, nice days, and now the ground's a little, I told my wife if I got a couple dry days, I'd get out there and cut the grass. So that's probably going to be, what was that weather report? Might be tomorrow. Shoot. If not tomorrow, it's probably going to be Saturday. Let me look. 10-day, hourly. Today is Thursday. And looks like tomorrow is going to rain. Wow, might be Sunday or Monday. Yeah, probably Monday, or more than likely a Tuesday I'll cut the grass. So I got something planned. I might go fishing Monday. It's what I need to do. You know what? I need to go fishing. Uh-oh, I hear it now. All right. I got it figured out. Got it figured out. So anyway, sounds like fishing. I'm going to put that on my list to go for a walk on Monday and go trout fishing. I'm still thinking about that trout almondine. Anyway, just like this week, you can try and fight the weather. You can work with it. Go ahead, get your garden in before rain. I don't care if you just take a 5-gallon bucket and put a tomato in it. And grow you a tomato. Matter of fact, if you want a tomato, get a hold of me. I'll give you a darn tomato plant so you can have the satisfaction of growing something on your own that you can eat. I suspect, now, I don't try to get in all this world politics and all this, but due to the price of fuel, and fertilizer is directly related to fuel. Now, we're supposed to have a couple years or at least 1 year's supply of fertilizer on hand. Farmers, I care a great deal about you guys. You guys are the livelihood of this country. And, but I'm a little bit worried about the food supply. Not that we won't run out. I know that a lot of them are switching out of corn because it depletes nitrogen, which reduces their yields, and a lot of them are going to putting in beans to get their nitrogen fixes and whatever. But yeah, beans might do pretty good this year if you're an investor. But yeah, make sure you got put some Spam and Vienna sausages and some and buy an extra pack of meat and put in your freezer. I know things are tight right now. Back off on eating out so much and buy a few more fresh food, and even the canned vegetables better than no vegetables, and that stuff's relatively cheap. Get your pantry built up, put a little back. Dried beans, rice, even some salt pork, and get your protein. I mean, just be responsible and be prepared. Now we're an American. We're Americans, and our grandparents they made it through with things like, as long as they had salt, coffee, and flour, they would make it, and of course, they were a lot more self-sufficient. Everybody had victory gardens and things like that. And I think that's what we need to do more often to protect not only our personal freedoms, because security will cost your freedom, and our sovereignty. How is that word? Sovereignty. We want to make sure we stay Americans and not dependent on somebody else to get our food. And that is a good motto to live by. Independent. Don't count on that government. Don't count on nobody but your own ingenuity. Yeah, you go out and work. Yeah. And then put in a couple extra 3 hours a week, and put in a garden and put you some beans in a plot and get you a couple tomato plants and take care of the wildlife and try and get some fishing in and take care of yourself. That's what we're talking about. Being prepared, that's not luck. That's paying attention and acting on it. Anyway, we're moving along. The work pays off. Now let's talk about where this really shows up. The garden. And I just talked about it a minute ago. What to be doing right now. You need to be finished planting your crops. Start putting in those warm seeds. And another thing I'm thinking about putting in is potatoes. I've had The thing is, it don't take many potato plants to get you a darn bushel of potatoes. And if you're hungry, potatoes got plenty of carbs in it. It'll keep you energized up. And they say if you cook them things and then make like a potato salad out of them, it actually changes those carbs so that it's better for you instead of eating them hot. But man, I'll eat a potato any which way when necessary. But keep this in mind. Maintain your spacing, your watering, and your weed control. I've got the garden in, and my wife, she said she loves to weed. I'm going to count on that this year. I'll get out there with a hoe every now and then and get it taken care of, but that's part of the mulching. If you mulch your garden, weeding is a breeze because the roots don't get bound up in that tight soil, and they'll pull up pretty easy. And you just throw them in your compost pile and continue to build good compost for the next year. But the reward doesn't come from planting. It comes from the daily attention and the maintenance and the showing up. Anybody can plant. Not everybody sticks with it. And that's the difference between a garden and a harvest. And cold weather will be here before we know it. Make hay while the sun shines, boys and girls. Send me a chat and let me know what you're doing. I go down to the Wolford Valley at least once or twice a week, and I watch their progression. The farmers down there, I don't know if they're large scale farmers, but they're medium scale farmers, and I kind of follow their rhythm. I'm a little ahead or a little behind in some aspects, but I'm right in there with them. Just pay attention to what the farmers are doing, and you'll be all right. But the main thing is you get out there and put the effort in through the summer, and you will reap the rewards. Matter of fact, the other evening I made short ribs. And I went down here in the freezer in the pantry and pulled out a bag of tomatoes and from last year, or might have been the year before, and throwed them in the pot and really made a rich sauce with them braised ribs. Not many people eat them braised ribs like I do. They do have a lot of tallow in them, and I don't mind it. But man, that was some good eating. I cooked it last Saturday night, and I think I finished it Tuesday. And that was just one pack of them short ribs, and I got 3 or 4 packs left. That reminds me, I need to start thinking about purchasing a beef this winter or this fall. I need to call my sister and see if she needs me to go ahead and advance her the money to help feed them out and get things ready to go. I ought to call her right now. I ought to do that. Just see how she's doing. Right here on the show. What do y'all think about that? I had a little buddy call me this week. Boy, he was bragging. I met him 4, 5, 6 years ago, and he was a typical young man, his mid-20s, trying to figure it out, and had a wife and a child, and he's expecting another one, and he's a little old estimator for a demolition company. He called me the other day and bragging like crazy. He said he did 5.5 for the month, and I said, that's good, man. That means you're going to do 60 this year? He goes, well, I don't know. I'll try. And I said, don't use that word with me, son. He knows I can't stand that word try. I said, do or do not. There is no try. He says, well, I'm trying. He says, all right, I'm going to get it done. I said, don't give up. Stay against it the whole time. I said, you got to put in the effort to get the reward. you see where you're at. You know what effort that took. And now that effort just not as hard as it felt when you're going through it, and you'll get better and better. So stay with it. But he was bragging, and I was proud of him. And that's another instance of golly, you can brag about things and you can get motivated, but you got to put in the work. 100% of the time, you got to have the discipline. Like me sitting here, right here in front of you right now, there may not be anybody watching. But I know that I'm disciplined enough that I got up this morning and did my editing on my other videos. And I'm not a big success, but I know that I need to keep doing it. And I got this scripted together, so I have something to talk about. I'm doing my own music for the thing. And I can talk about that kind of stuff all day long, but if I ain't getting up and doing it, it ain't going to happen. So the discipline is getting up at 4:30. I'll slip in. I've been sleeping in the past week or so because I've just been not feeling the best with this cough and sinuses and all that. But anyway, you can see it all across Rabun County right now. The gardens are going in. The people are outside working. The son-in-law, his little old business is out there blooming and flourishing. He can't keep up. I can tell that the walking trails are active. I can see more boats in the water, people fishing out there. The spring, it's more than a season. It's a work cycle. So get out there. Get out there. We've been lazy all winter long. I know I have been. I'm trying to get myself motivated and get things done around here. And you ought to be doing the same exact thing. Well, anyway, motivation got you into gardening, but discipline is what keeps you pulling the weeds. And thank you, Pluriforia. That was very good. I like that one. And my old granddaddy used to say the difference between a gardener and a tomato feeder is about 2 weeks of neglect. And that's the darn truth. When the summer's coming in hard and you ain't out there weeding and pruning and clipping out them sucker plants, you ain't going to have nothing but a big old mess out there. But anyway, stay against it, boys and girls. Stay against it. Some shout outs to the ones who showed up, to the folks who worked all week, whether they felt like it or not. The hunters putting in the quiet mornings, the gardeners pushing through tired evenings, because that kind of work, that's where the results come from. So let me ask, where did discipline show up in your life this week? Was it being a expectant mother with a kindergartner that needs your attention still pretty regular, getting him ready for school? You a stay-at-home mom who gets the kids ready for school and then take care of your husband and have meals prepped and ready for when they come home, and then clean the house up while dad's trying to take care of the toddlers or the youngins and put them to bed, get them bathed and ready for bed? Are y'all working as a team? Marriage and raising kids, that's tough, especially if both parents work. If you're fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home parent, fill your day up with making your home the kind of place that you want to be in. And also, what kind of work did you do even though you didn't feel like it? Did you have to go out and you're running a lawn cutting service and you had a bunch of them that needed to get done before the rain came in? You running a tree service, you out there, and with the storms that came through, and you feel like you got more than you can do, and you got customers wanting to know where you're at. Are you an HVAC contractor out there trying to get things to happen and make it happen for you? Getting enough technicians to work your work log and get things going? Tell me about what kind of work you did even though you didn't feel like it. Me was simple. I got a lot of beds. I got four, five, six, eight, nine. I got 9 beds around my house, various sizes for flowers and vegetables. And yeah, it's stuff that I made to fill my time since I'm, I guess, semi-retired. I'll never retire, but yeah. And I had to get that work done in my mind. Some people said, man, I just let that all go back to nature. And they're right. I could. And I still got a road that needs to be serviced and maintained out here. It's a darn 7/10 of a mile dirt road up here to my house. And it's a private road. And if it doesn't get maintained a couple times a year, scratching up that gravel and respreading it, working the ditches, it gets to be a big mess. So I still got that to do. There's a lot going on, and that's the way it should be. That's the way that we maintain a purpose in our life. We maintain friendships. We maintain relationships. I know that I've got one, two, three, four, three. Anytime it's from 3 other neighbors, sometimes 4 other neighbors further up the hill there that they appreciate me getting out there and getting that road work cleaned up for them so they can get in and out of their homes without too much trouble. And I don't expect pay for it. I don't get paid for it. I don't ask for pay for it. I do it for my own pleasure, my own convenience of getting back and forth to my house, and my wife's convenience, and I hope they appreciate it, and I'm sure they do, that I get out there and do that little bit of road work 2 or 3 times a year. But that's another one of those things. I may not feel like it, but I know it's a necessity for peace of mind, and we get out there and do it. So tell me what you had to do this week to get ready. Let's bring all this back around. It's winding up time. And this week reminded me of something simple. Motivation comes and goes. Back in the middle of March, I was down there in the basement and I was getting my seeds out, getting my heating pads set up, getting the timers with the lights set up, and then the fan a blowing, and getting my potting material. And man, I was ready for the springtime. I was ready for it to get here. And then before you know it, I'm thinking, golly, boy, I hope the weather go ahead and warms up so I can get these plants out, because they was getting kind of big. And then I finally moved them out and put them under the deck here so they could harden off. And then I got to thinking, man, I hope we get spring. So it's always the motivation and the motivation to get things going. And sometimes you feel like it's not going the right way, but if you pay attention, it'll all work out for you. I promise. It may not work out the way you was expecting to begin with, but it will. You just got to, once you get motivated, you've got to have discipline to make it happen. Discipline, that's what builds things. It builds gardens. It builds skills. It builds results. And it builds a life you can be proud of. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes like the weather, like the rain. Sometimes you feel good, and other days you don't feel like doing nothing. And if you ain't got discipline, then it don't get done because you're working on a feeling. Discipline does the work, whether you want to or not. And discipline builds a life that you can be proud of in the long run. And that's what this community is about. We're a community of like-minded people who gather together, and we're paying attention, and we're taking care of ourselves and each other. The old motto, we're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. And we come here every week to exchange ideas, trade resources, and help each other out. That reminds me, I'm still looking for some mulch hay. I'd love to have some manure. So if you're out there and you've got some of that stuff available, send me a chat. And if you've got something you need to get shed of or like to get shed of, think another neighbor might need it, here's a chance. Send me a chat and I'll put it on the Rabun County Rag next Thursday night. But anyway, it looks like we're running out of time. Can you believe it already? I just want to thank you for spending the evening with Rabun County Rag. And this is Bubba. I'm still a little worn out, still a little sore. But seeing the work start to pay off, boy, that is really something else. All right, everybody. I only wish one further thing before I sign off. And I say this every week, and I say it all the time. Have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll see you next time. Southern Appalachian Trillium morning. There's a hush in the holler for the daylight speaks. Mist rising soft off the river and the creek. Boots on the path where the old roots went through a cathedral of pine and thyme. The mountain's breath is cool and slow, whispers through the hemlock rows, and I walk alone, but I ain't alone, with the earth humming low like a welcome home. Trillium blooms in a quiet grace, white as the dawn in a shaded place, and trout lilies nod in the morning air like they've been waiting just to be there. Golden light starts breaking through, painting the ridge in a softer hue, and every step feels sacred still on a southern Appalachian hill. Oh, this southern Appalachian Trillium morning, where the river runs and the light comes pouring, bird song rising like a faithful prayer through the dogwood bloom and the mountain air. Ain't no rush, ain't no warning, just peace in a trillium morning, where the soul finds rest without a word, in the quiet truth of what's been heard. The thrush calls out